All right. So I'm seeing express red express
Yep.
red.
So
Okay,
I'll minimize
cool.
that.
There we go. Yep, we see everything just fine.
So there should be different ways in which you can. So see me and you. That's in the
I
side.
do. I do.
Are there ways in which you can make me bigger?
No, not in StreamYard.
So
Not yet.
Andrew did.
In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of us on the side. I'm going to go just full screen, so people are
See,
just
that's actually not what I want, because what I want to do is show my overhead camera, which is this.
yeah.
So,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
so can
Well,
you make that bigger? Andrew had a way to
I
make
can. Well,
them.
let's see. If I go to this mode, I can.
Yes. Okay.
I
And
can.
is there a way to just solo me to make it bigger?
No, I don't. There is no way to solo you. I can solo me, but I can't solo you.
Okay. So
If I go
do it to the two
here,
of us. Yes. Even if you keep it like, well, even like that, so you can see it to the side. That's good. Because then stay
I mean,
there for 1 second. Because just while I'm talking and while I'm setting some things up, I
right,
want to kind of run through some of this
right,
and do some of that, and do some of this while I'm talking. So part of the talk will be kind of like this when I'm doing Lightroom stuff.
right,
So if I go into Lightroom, yeah, because then I'll be showing both Lightroom here, but also catalog on the other side. So
right.
I'll be
Exactly.
flicking between different parts. So it'll not be just sharing my screen. It'll be this kind of camera angle quite a bit as well,
All right.
so that I can show parts. Hey, somebody's in the chat room.
Yes, yes, yes. Hello, IB Wizard. Welcome. Welcome to the Photoshop Users Group meeting. Since Lab is in the house.
IB Wizard, where are you from? Let us know where you're from in the chats.
He's from San Diego, Oceanside to be exact. All right, so 420 F1TC001, welcome. And Gernode, welcome. And then KC Kel, I guess Kago, welcome. People are slowly coming in. And those who are online watching, you're welcome to send out the actual link for your guests to come and join us. And I'll go ahead and post it in here in the chat box for your convenience. I want to use something different. Let me go to, and we're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. And are we going to do a giveaway, Ian?
We haven't got one planned for this session, but depending on the number of people that's coming through and that watch the video, I'm sure we can organize something for the teams.
Maybe what we'll do is we'll do some type of a giveaway. So here we go. We're live and going. That looks good.
Here we go.
Okay,
we're live and going. That looks good.
Turn off that sound on Twitch. Mr. Phil Gov Effects, Go Effects. Mr. Phil Go Effects, welcome to the stream. Great to see you here. All right, I'm going to kind of switch things up here. Switch this over to here where I can see that. We'll get started here in just a couple. Oh, we got 11 people so far. It's starting to grow. So, let me go back to my StreamYard. Where are you? Where is my StreamYard? There you are. Fantastic. Okay. So there we go. DP Skier, welcome. Nice to see you again. I haven't been anywhere. I've been the weekends I've been working. I've been doing the Blender workshops on the weekend. I may have to switch our Blender class, 3D class, or light wave and blender class to probably a Saturday, because Sundays have been taken up with a lot of the classes. All right, so let's see. Arnold, it's Arnold DJE Arnold Encinitas in the house. Oh, great! You're my hometown here, right next to me. Mr. Phil GoFX says, "Well, thank you. You're most welcome." Diane Arnold, hey, welcome, Diane. So
hey, Diane says she saw me this week.
World. Yay! We have a Photoshop World attendee here. You've been a member of been a member in San Diego for a while, not as well. Yeah, you have been. You have been.
So, DJE Arnold, thank you for coming back after Photoshop World. Hope you got a good session at Photoshop World recently. That was an amazing few days.
Was that all virtual, Ian?
This year it is, yep. Next year, okay. Here's a little insider tip. Next year, they're wanting it to be in person.
In person?
So, yep. It could be good fun.
It's not a bad idea to consider in person as well as virtual.
Yep. Adobe Max is doing that this year. If anyone's attending Adobe Max in LA, right. It's going to be so many in-person seats. I think it's roughly about 6,000 in person, and then a lot online. So there'll be a virtual session as well. So you can sign up and you can get both, or you can choose one or the other. I will be in LA for Adobe Max. If anyone wants to grab a coffee and a catch up, just message me. Be more than happy to sit down and have a chat with people.
Now you're working at the Sense Lab booth in LA, right, for Adobe Max?
Yep, I'm going to be on the Sense Labs booth. Well, I'm actually going to be a TA, a teaching assistant at Adobe Max. It's something I've done for years upon years. So I'm going to be helping out in the different labs and the different sessions, and doing different talks as well throughout the couple of days. So it's going to be good fun.
Okay, so Dan Arnold says, quick question. Can I use the same Quick Keys remote with both small and medium tablets without drama? Good question.
Simple answer is yes. The drama, there is no drama. The only issue is that when you use the Quick Keys if you buy the medium bundle, so it comes medium size and the Quick Keys, then the one dongle connects the tablet and the Quick Keys together. So if you then decide to buy the small and you want to use your Quick Keys with the small, the only thing you have to do, and it's no drama, it takes 3 or 4 clicks of a mouse button or a cursor or a trackpad, whatever you want to do. The only thing you have to do is to go into the settings panel, go into the preferences, and then go into what's called wireless dongle settings, wireless pairing settings, and connect your new Quick Keys to your small. It's very, very simple to do, very, very easy to do. I can show it to you in this presentation just so you can see.
I think that'll be a great idea.
Yeah, I have both the medium and I have the small. I'm about to go on a flight right after this. I'm saying to Stephen, right after this presentation today, I'm jumping out to go on a flight driving down to Dublin to go on a flight to Germany.
So how long is the flight to Dublin in Germany from where you're located?
Well, for where I am to get to Dublin Airport is roughly about 2 hours. So it's not
2 hours.
Bad. 2 hour drive. Then I have to sit in Dublin Airport for several hours because it's an early morning flight. So you got to be in super early to get through security because the queues are just crazy. And then from Dublin to Germany is 3 hours. It's a 3 hour flight to go across. So all being well, I should arrive nice and early. Leave here about 2 in the morning. I should arrive in Dublin or in Berlin in Germany at roughly 10 a.m. German time. And I'm there for 2 or 3 days.
What's the weather like in Germany right now?
Oh, it's beautiful for me because it's roughly about 24 degrees C. I'm not sure what that is for you guys. 24 degrees Celsius. Let's go to Google and see what that is real quick.
Celsius to Fahrenheit.
24 degrees C to F, 75.
75
so in Germany, it's roughly about 75 degrees.
Okay.
which is quite warm for me, considering that right now here in Belfast, it's roughly, Google tells me it's 53 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can tell I will be loving it when I get to Germany.
Yes, you will be.
And can't wait to get back to LA and to your neck of the woods, Stephen. That would be good.
Oh yeah.
Just turn the heat up. Turn the heat
We'll
up.
we will definitely try to connect when you for Adobe Max.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Do you know, Stephen, there's a photo of us at Adobe Max back in 2018. There's the Max with Dax setup, and
Right.
there's a photo of us all, and you're literally standing three rows behind me at that show.
So the Max
Didn't
with
even
Dax,
know it.
the Max with Dax, is that the one? Well, is that before the conference or after?
No, that was just part of the conference. It was just part of the whole thing.
Was part of the whole thing.
So there was,
Okay, because there's another
was-
pre thing that what's his name does from the East Coast. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting names. And I apologize. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So DB Ski says 75.2 degrees.
can't wait.
Great.
So if I
Hey.
go to this, Stephen, you remember this photograph?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Am I in there?
Quite a bit.
Am I?
I'm in there. I'm in there. Let's just see if I can zoom
I
in.
don't know if I'm in there. I don't.
You're not
remember.
in this one? No.
Yeah, I don't think I'm in this one.
No. I was one of the ones that were taken at the time.
Welcome, Aaron Houston. Sorry, I can't stay longer. I have out of town family here. Rain check, please. Don't worry. This broadcast will be recorded. All of our user group meetings are recorded. You guys are watching this through Twitch, where I do a lot of special presentations. I call it digital creativity with Chrome Illusion, and we have a lot of 3D presentations, Photoshop presentations here. They're all recorded. They're on the site. If you want access to any and everything that we've ever done here, it's like I think Twitch charges $4 a month, and you get access to everything that we do. So all of the Blender 3D meetings that we have, that for all you people who are interested in learning Blender, we do that all here. We do Photoshop here. I'm also part of a Lightwave users group. I'm president of. I'm also president of the San Diego Photoshop users group. We are in an official Adobe sanctioned user group. That's where you are right now at our user group meeting, all virtual. We have great honor to have Ian Sayers here. I've known Ian for a long time. I've met him when I was with Wacom. And Wacom, I was one of Wacom's lead pro artists. I was the guy that they sent to Disney and DreamWorks and Marvel Comics to work with the artists to show them how they can be more proficient with their tablets. Ian also was a Wacom representative for the UK, and that was how we met. So now that these new tablets are coming up on the market, everybody is looking for alternative besides just Wacom, and I think SenseLab is one of the best out there in terms of a comparison to Wacom. There are other companies. I don't think they quite stand up to what SenseLab have. I think SenseLab is doing a fantastic job keeping the prices low and keeping our productivity for being digital artists, engaging us, which is wonderful. The company is engaging the artists. I think that's very, very critical. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let Ian share who he is and what he's going to do today. I see someone made a comment here. I already mentioned that one. Okay, forget that. We'll make that go away. Okay, great. So Ian, take it away.
Stephen, thank you so much. Folks, I'm really honored to be here with you today and want to say a big thanks to Stephen for inviting me along. As Stephen says, a lifetime ago, we kind of met when we were working with another company, which a lot of you guys might have heard of, Wacom. So for over 14, 15 years, I ran my own business. I wasn't employed by Wacom. I was independent, but I was the UK, Ireland, and parts of Europe Wacom ambassador. And Wacom had a whole series of ambassador people all around, and it was me that they sent to most of the trade shows and most of the events for years upon years. So I've been to the likes of the photography show, I've been to Adobe Max in the past, a whole range of different events. So why am I sitting here today wearing a t-shirt that says Sense Labs? And why am I actually working in a company called Sense Labs? And I actually stopped my own job, my own company, to go and join these guys. So after 14 years of working with a company called Wacom and playing with all of their gadgets, I've had the Inches Pro right back to version 3, right up to the latest model. I have the screens, the displays. I have the Mobile Studio Pros. I had so much work that was going on with Wacom, yet I resigned my commission as an ambassador. I was running my own business. I wasn't employed by them, and I resigned and phoned them up and said, I'm really sorry, but I can't honorably tell people that you have got the best tablet on the market. So I had work planned with Wacom, and Sense Labs sent me out one of their tablets, which I'm going to show you today. And they sent me out what's called a Quick Keys, which I'm going to take a little bit of time and detail to show you how this little guy is a game changer for everybody, not just for photography, but for animation, for artists just want to do painting, for videographers, for absolutely everything. Even if you're going to use Word or PowerPoint or your mail programs, everything. Right? This little guy changes it. So what happened is Sense Labs sent me out one of their tablet bundles, and they said, hey, this is us. This is who we are. I was still running my own business at this time. I still had several months of work with Wacom. And when Sense Labs sent me this out, they said, hey, we're all a bunch of ex-Wacom staff members. 90% of the company is made up of people who have worked in or with Wacom. We all decided to leave, and we're all working now in Sense Labs. So they sent me the tablet. They said, give us an honest review. Don't hold back. If you like it, tell us it. If you don't like it at all, and there's problems, tell us what the problems are. Folks, 1 hour and 31 minutes to be precise after playing with the tablet and the Quick Keys. That's when I resigned my commission. 1 hour and 31 minutes. Right? So people look at me and think, are you crazy? Why would you do something like that? You've had 14, 15 years of working with Wacom. And I'll be totally honest, after 1 hour and 30 minutes, I realized that this new company had brought out a quality product at an insanely affordable price, and it had packed it full with all these brilliant features that I'm going to show you. And this was their first invention. If you go back 30 years to when Wacom first started within the marketplace, or XP Pen or Handvon or any of these companies that do pen tablets, this is not just about Wacom, but if you take it back lots of years and you look at what their first inventions were, they're all focused on making it easy for photographers and artists. They're all focused on people who wanted to be creative. Sense Labs, their first product on the market, totally blew me away. I could see the potential in what they had just with the pen tablet and the Quick Keys. And that alone was enough for me to realize that what I was doing with the likes of Wacom or other companies, it had become kind of stagnated. There wasn't really much change or flexibility. Whereas what these guys have brought out was a breath of fresh air on the marketplace. So I resigned with Wacom. I had no further work with Sense Labs at that time. I had no promise of further work. There was no job opportunity. I just knew in myself that I couldn't go to a trade show, and if somebody said, what's the best tablet? If I was there with Wacom, I just knew I couldn't turn around and say, go buy an Inches Pro. Because in my heart, I would have had to say to them, and I would have said to them, go and have a look on the market for Sense Labs. Because the quality of the build and the material that's in it is better than what I would say is in the Inches Pros. The features and the ways that it's set up are better than an Inches Pro. And they're better than some of the other tablets and companies that's on the marketplace. The Wacom remote, which is out in the marketplace, doesn't have an OLED display. So all the buttons that you have on the Wacom remote, you don't know what they are until you push one button and then it displays on your screen what those buttons are. So if you were recording your screen and you were doing a tutorial and you had your Wacom remote and you weren't sure what the buttons are, then you'd have to re-record that section, because when you push the button on the remote, it pops up on your screen recording. And there are lots of little things like that, whereas this OLED display just means that I can look straight at it and know what the button is. And I'm going to go into quite a bit of detail on this little guy. This is what's called a special edition. And I have, if I just flick over to this screen, I have the special edition tablet, and I'll explain the differences to them and what they are just as we're going through.
That's because
so I'm left-handed, so I am special. Excuse me. So guys, I literally resigned my commission with no further prospect of work from Sense Labs. But I thought that I believed in their vision of what they were wanting to do. Roll on several months later, I ran a training company for 14, 15 years. So roll on several months later, the folks in Sense Labs said, hey, would you like to join us? Would you like to come in? And would you like to be part of the company? And I said, yeah. I said, yep, absolutely. So after running a business for 14, 15 years, I decided to close my business, which was very profitable. It's not that the business was going bad in any way. We were on a boom as far as training goes, but we decided to close the business so that I could set up what's called the training and community side for Sense Labs. So I have a fancy title, which is customer engagement and training for Sense Labs. Let me just fix the screen here 1 second so I can see it again. So say fancy title, which is a global manager within the company, and it's for customer engagement and training. My job within Sense Lab is to educate people as much as possible as to why you can use the tablet, the quick keys, the pen to speed up your workflow, to make things easier for you. The quick keys is something which I do want to spend a bit of time and show you and talk about what it is. But before I get into that, Stephen, if I could just share my overhead screen for a while. You don't want to look at me anyhow, folks. So you just want to see this overhead screen. So this is actually my desk. What you're looking at right now is how I work all the time. And I'm going to flick over to this kind of over the shoulder camera that I have. And hopefully you guys can see that okay. And one of the things that Stephen and I have shared over the years is our passion for these little guys. I'm not sure if anybody knows Star Trek. Yep. So this is an actual drone, which I can just turn on and let it flash away in the background there. And there's a whole remote control and everything else for it, which is pretty cool. So this is just my desk, guys. This is exactly how I work. And this is my day-to-day runnings that you're seeing right now. Excuse the mess. Yes, I do have a communicator. Yes, I am a gadget freak, the same as Stephen. I have a 16-inch MacBook Pro. This is the M1. I have a 24-inch XP pen display. This is the Artist Pro, which I'm using. Up here, just above the screen, you'll probably not see it too much, but there's an iPad, and then there's a camera phone, which is here for other cameras. I have an overhead camera. I have over-the-shoulder cameras, and I've got a messy desk. But this is me. This is how I work, so that I can record videos and show people what I do and how I do it. And what I actually want to do is I want to stay in this format just for a second or two. So I'm going to move this out of the way. This is our medium tablet from Sense Labs. And I have a few things just to the side. I'm going to lift this little packet. So this is a pouch that comes with the medium-sized tablet. So when you buy the medium tablet, you get the tablet. If you buy the bundle deal, you'll get the tablet, you'll get the quick keys, and you'll get this amazing case. You get these pen case, and in the pen case, we give 2 pens and all of the nibs and the adapters and the dongles that you're going to need to get connected.
And that's one of the things I think is absolutely outstanding about what the company has done for you, is that it's compensated the users with 2 styles of pens, because we're always, when we with previous products, you only get 1 pen, you have to buy the rest. This is just given to you. And plus the quick keys, another huge thing about what Snap is doing for the user.
So what I always say to people is I'm always putting a pen in my shirt pocket, walking away, or setting it down and leaving it somewhere, and then looking around going, where's my pen? So the clever guys in Sense Labs decided, hey, we're going to give you 2 pens. Now, there's the standard edition, which is in the black, or there's the special edition, which is in the white. Both of these are exact same pressure, same size, same everything. And you can see, same setup. You get 2 pens in both. You get all the nibs. You get the dongles. This one's actually being used at the minute, and the pen I have here just to the side that I'm using. So we're giving you everything. But the 2 pens, one of the pens is called a standard grip pen. This has got 4 buttons. This is our standard thick pen that we use. Okay, it's a standard pen. Now called a 3-button pen because there's 3 buttons here. But I like to call it a 4-button pen because we actually give you an eraser at the end. So there's the 3 buttons and the button at the end, which you can configure. So you've got 4 buttons.
I've got a question. Has rotation that we can use in Photoshop have been designated to any of the pens?
Rotation hasn't been added to our pens just yet.
Okay.
So if you were looking at Wacom pens, you would have to have bought the Art pen, which is a separate pen, which specifically has the barrel rule within it.
Right.
When we brought these pens onto the market, we chose not to do that. You also have to remember that the Art pen from Wacom is now end of life. So they'll no longer be supporting the Art pen with the rule feature going forward. And it's only available in, as far as I'm aware, it's still only available in the Art pen for that rotation.
Now,
so
why is it? Is it too difficult to do?
It's a good question. I have said to our R&D and our product development team that I would like to see it in. And the more people that say, hey, let's have a look at this, I can tell you that it is being discussed to be added in a future edition of the pens for firmware updates and things like that. But I'm not 100% sure as to why it wasn't put into the pens when we first started. Certainly, when you look at the user groups and the number of people that are using the barrel roll features, there is a lesser percentage of more experienced people that want that in compared to a wider market of people who are just doing, say, Photoshop retouching or animation or design, which haven't requested that. The one thing that Sense Labs is amazing at, and I was blown away by this, is its research and development. The amount of times that they actually do research studies and they talk to artists, they talk to designers, and they ask them what they want. That's phenomenal. I've seen that in other companies, and what Sense Labs do compared to other companies is a million times more, and I mean a million times more. So the other pen which we have in our case is this little guy. This is our thin pen, and our thin pen has the 2 buttons and an eraser. So effectively 3 buttons on this. Now, what I actually just did there is I've also lifted up this little guy. So does anyone have an iPad? Because this is an Apple Pencil. So if anyone has an iPad and is using Photoshop or Lightroom on the iPad, then they tend to go and grab an Apple Pencil and they're using it in Photoshop and Lightroom on their iPads. So the reason why I'm showing you this is this little guy needs charged up. So at the minute he's dead. I can't use him. None of our pens need charged. Excuse me. None of our pens need charged. They're all battery free. So this little guy is similar to the thickness and the weight differential. So I'm all about feeling the pen and making sure it fits nicely in your hand because you're going to be using it for long periods of time. And if you compare the two from the Apple Pencil to the thin pen, they're very similar. Excuse me, sorry folks. So our thin pen, if you were using the iPad with the Apple Pencil, and then you go away and you come to your desk, a lot of users tell us that they like lifting the thin pen and using the thin pen whenever they're working. Why? So that if they lift the thin pen and go straight to the tablet surface, then it feels more natural. It feels more straightforward because they've came from the iPad across to the tablet. They can go back to the iPad and the pens feel very, very similar. For me, I end up losing pens and setting them down somewhere, and it's nice to have the 2 pens in the case. And it does come in a pretty good case, nice and sturdy, which can go into the bag that comes with it. So you can take this with you, pack it all up, And you've got a nice and neat container, which keeps it nice and protected. Now let me show you. Excuse me, folks. I'm sorry for the cough. Just move these out of the way. So what I actually have is the special edition tablet, and I have the medium tablet just in the standard black. And you can see both of those, same size, same features, same setup. And I'll go into some of the features shortly, but they are both the exact same. Now, if I set them to the side, and I go and lift this one up, this is something which I really, really love. So I'm about, as I said earlier, that I'm about to go to Germany. And this little guy, if I set it here, you can see that this case is a lot smaller. Okay, oh, I've just gone a little bit blurry. Let me go back to here. So this case is a lot smaller. And let me show you why. Because when we open it up, we have the same pen case as what we had a second ago. So this is the exact same pen case, same setup as the standard medium size. No difference. But what we actually have within this case is our small tablet. The small tablet, as you can see here, considerably smaller. If you've got a small desk, if you're going to travel, then taking the small tablet with you is sometimes more economical, sometimes better. If you've got a small desk space and not a lot of room, then sometimes the small tablet is just as good as the larger one. So now think of this, guys. On other companies, whenever you're talking about a small tablet, you're normally talking about reduced features, such as less pressure, less Bluetooth connection, less buttons, less this, less that. For Sense Labs, the small tablet is the exact same. This is the exact same features, exact same build, exact same quality as the medium tablet, only it comes in a smaller size. There still are 3 buttons at the top, the same as the medium tablet. This is the exact same build structure, quality, features, everything else, but in a more compact size and at a reduced price. So you can see here the difference in size when it comes to the tablets. So for me personally, if I'm going to go away traveling, I'm about to jump on a flight, let's say later on tonight. For me, this little guy is going into his case. I'm going to pack the quick keys as well, and that's going with me on my travels. So that the hand-eye coordination on the tablet is going to be matching what I've got on my 16-inch MacBook Pro M1 that I'm taking with me. So it's easy, it's lighter, it's more compact. I can sit and work on the plane. I can sit and work in coffee shops. It's not taking up too much space. It's nice and compact for me. And it has all of the same features that's in the medium tablet. And that's what I love. So this little guy is my go-to device. That's the one that I'm going to be taking with me. I mentioned the quick keys, and I've said I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on the quick keys. So let me just show you this. So this is the quick keys in Nebular White, which is for the special edition. And as you can see, if I can kind of hold that up, you should be able to see some buttons that's on this. And if I push, there's all these lovely little buttons that tells me with the OLED display what they are. And if I push this little button at the end, you can see that changes to set B. So set A, set B. Every time I push this button at the end, it'll go through 5 sets, A, B, C, D, E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So look at this. I have 8 buttons and I have 5 sets. So I've got 40 buttons. But I also have this little dial. And when I push the dial, you will notice that the color changes. You should notice the color changes. But you'll also notice a panel telling you what it's now doing. There's yellow. There's for brush size. There's green. There's blue, which is for scroll. Okay. So the color changes here. And I think that's amazing because while I'm working with the way I am, I'm left-handed, I can push that button on the dial. I can see what the color is, and I know what the color is. I don't need to look at the OLED display. It just lightens up and allows me to know exactly what it's going to do. And I can change this for every application. I'm going to show you for different applications. Now, if you decide that you don't want the pen tablet, and you don't want the medium or the small, or you don't want the Nebular White, but you are interested in the quick keys, then you can buy the quick keys as a standalone unit, and it comes in this hard case. as you can see. If I open up the case, you can see there's the quick keys in the standard black version. And in this side, there's space for the cable that comes with it. And there's a little pouch area, which is the dongle and the adapter, depending if you need the adapter for USB-C or USB-A connection. So in this one case, with the leads that goes in here, I've just taken my lead out, with the quick keys and with the setup, that's a standard external purchase if you wanted it to be. So you don't need to have the tablet. You can buy the quick keys and it matches in together. For me, I like the small and I like the quick keys. And I don't need to put it in this case. I can take the quick keys and I can stick the quick keys nicely in here. So there's pouches at the front. You can see there's several different pouches here for the small tablet in the back, and then use the pouches for the cables, for the pen case, and for the quick keys. And I've got one compact little case that can go with me on my travel. And that's what I'm going to be packing up and taking with me after we do this session today. I love it. I think it's great. I think it just makes sense, labs. Sense labs. Sorry, I had to say that. Come on, you have to bear with me here. It's good fun. So what I'm trying to say here, guys, is that these pen tablets and quick keys, they do things a little bit different from what everyone else has on the market.
Okay,
and
so
the question there is,
Jill Ford has a question. Is this tablet compatible with iMacs?
yes. So you can plug this tablet in with the dongle. My tablet is wireless. As you can see here, this is wireless. There's no wires attached. And I have the dongle connected into my computer. Doesn't matter whether it's an iMac. Doesn't matter if it's a MacBook Pro that I have. Even the new Mac Studios, the little boxes, all of those devices work perfectly with it. Now, here's the beauty. And really, thank you for asking this question, because I only need the cable to charge the device. I only need the cable to charge the device. And the tablet has 16 hours of continuous use. And when I say continuous use, what I actually mean is, if I can just flick over to my screen here, this is my tablet settings. So this tablet has 16 hours continuous use. But in the preferences, one of the things that I can do is I can set my pen tablet to go to sleep after 30 minutes. So imagine if you're going to go and grab a coffee, if you're going to get a bite to eat at lunchtime, if you get up and walk away from your computer and you forget that you've left your tablet on, every other tablet company in the planet stays on. If you have it connected wirelessly, it drains down the battery. So when you come back in again, whoops, it's dead. For Sense Labs, you have it set, I have mine set for 30 minutes. If I go grab a coffee and come back, if I get lunch, if I walk away and forget to turn it off, it will go to sleep. So the 16 hours is continuous use. The minute it goes to sleep, it extends that and makes it so much easier. The quick keys is the exact same. So you can see I can go into my quick keys. I've named my quick keys Snow White. Why? Because it's a nebula white. And I can set the quick keys to go to sleep as well. And this just allows me to know that the 50 hours, sorry, let me just say that again. The 50 hours continuous use that I can use this quick keys for could be extended even longer, because I can change the settings on this little guy so that the quick keys goes to sleep after, say, 30 or 60 minutes. That is super cool. So, yep, it is compatible with the Macs. It is compatible with PCs. Both of it works perfectly. And now, normally what we get asked at this stage is, when people ask, is it compatible? They normally also ask about the Bluetooth connection. Because if you've used any tablets, pen tablets in the market over the past few years, I bet you any money, it's a safe bet to say, you use it plugged in. Or you use it mostly plugged in. And very rarely will you use it wirelessly. And that's because in other pen tablet companies, the little Bluetooth connection that goes from the tablet to the computer is using what's called an open source connection. and it's using what's called Bluetooth 4. It may be 4.1 or it may be 4.2. It's not using a dongle, which is what we have, and it's not using Bluetooth 5, which is what we do, and it's not using what we do, which is called a peer-to-peer connection. So it's a single channel connection from this dongle to your Sense Labs devices. So why does that really excite me? Not just because I'm a nerd and because I love this type of stuff, but because it means that I get zero lag. Let me emphasize that, guys. Zero, zip, nada, zilch, none, not one bit. There is no lag in our pen tablet. If you take any other brands of pen tablets and you run them wirelessly, and you set your mobile phone, which has Bluetooth on it, you set your mobile phone down beside, if you put your iPad down beside your computer, even your computer with Bluetooth on, all of that Bluetooth interference affects all other companies' tablets when they run on Bluetooth, when you try to connect via Bluetooth, which is why all those other companies have problems with Bluetooth and wireless connections to their tablets. But for us in Sense Labs, this one little dongle allows you to connect from your computer to your Sense Labs products. And what I can do, the question was asked earlier today about what if you've got the small and you want to connect and you want to bring in quick keys to the small. Well, that's actually really easy and very simple to control, because what I actually have, this is my Sense Labs panel. And what I can actually do is come into the little settings at the top and come into manage wireless pairing. And if I was sitting with the small tablet right now, if I come into manage wireless settings, I can say the small tablet is connected, and then I can connect in my new quick keys just by adding it in here. So by having it powered on and plugged in first with the cable so that the dongle can read it, I can then tie it in and add it in here, which means the one dongle will work on the small and it'll work on your quick keys as well. If you've got the medium bundle, you don't even need to go into that little wheel. The medium dongle, the medium tablet bundle and the dongle within it will automatically connect both your quick keys and your pen tablet and your pens straight through. How cool is that? I love that. Okay, so let's get stuck in. Let's have a little bit more play. Let's have a little bit more fun with some of this. Let me just move some of this around so I don't lose it. Put some things back to where they should be and keep my quick keys just to the side. Okay, so before I jump in, has anyone any further questions? Anyone any issues or problems? Before we get too much fun and too far down the rabbit hole is what I would say. Are we all good to go? We are all good to go.
No questions.
That's always good. I can see one comment there. I did trade shows with Wacom. They once had a good community outreach when I was with Adobe. Oh, good. So just on that, I have been working with Adobe for nearly 20 years, and we ran some of the trade shows for Adobe and some of the different events that Adobe's ran over the years, which is why I progressed into working with Adobe for the likes of TA at Adobe Max and a few other bits and pieces as well. So here's what I'm going to show you. I've got Photoshop up and running, and I'm actually just going to flick over to this screen. Stephen, if you can just change just so people can see my overhead camera just real quick. Okay. Now I have Photoshop up and running, but before I go and share my screen properly and you see on my screen, I want to show you my quick keys and what you can see on this. So hopefully you can see some of the buttons that I have on my quick keys. Okay, can you see some of the buttons that I have on my quick keys? Let me just click on the Photoshop. Let me just click off Photoshop. Oh, did you see that changing okay? Let me click back on the Photoshop. Oh, let me click off Photoshop.
And now bring it over a little bit to your right. There we go. So we can see the color change on the wheel itself.
Yep. And then let me just click off Photoshop.
There it is.
Let me click back on the Photoshop. Let me jump into Lightroom again, staying in this view. Oh, look, I'm in Lightroom now. Anyone recognize this panel if you were thinking of working in Lightroom? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pick, reject. Okay, so what's Ian doing here? Okay, what's Ian doing here? Ian is picking and rejecting and organizing his photos directly within Lightroom. So I'm going to push this little button at the side. This is set A. I'm going to push this little button at the side. Oh, look, I'm getting into something else that's in Lightroom.
Now, Diane Arnold has a question. Do you have a Cintiq-like tablet?
I would say this, that we get asked this all the time. Since the day I joined the company in December of last year, I get asked this question at every show and every event. And what I would say is, when Wacom started 30 years ago, they took nearly 5 or 6 years to bring out a display, if not longer, before they brought out a display. Sense Labs do not have a display at this point in time, but watch this space very closely. Watch this space very closely. So do we have a Cintiq-like tablet, which means a display? All under NDA at the minute. You can probably guess why. So just watch this space. All right. Sign up, get involved with email newsletters. You will see what happens very, very soon. And if this user group wants to know when things are going to go live with any type of displays, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're watching Stephen's email blasts, because we'll let Stephen know all of the juicy details of what's going to come before everyone else. And Stephen can then feed this out to your user groups as well.
So Mr. Houston had a question. Will the quick keys work in Bridge?
So what I've been showing here is that whenever I am in my quick keys and I have, say, Lightroom up and running, I have this. And if I jump into Photoshop, oh, look, it changes. And if I jump into, let's go to Firefox, oh, look, it changed again. And if I jump into, say, Chrome, oh, look, guess what? It changed again. If I jump into Finder, it can change again. So what I'm going to say to you guys is, for this little quick keys, if I just go into my settings and I go into this screen, you will see here that when I click on the quick keys, so I have all of my applications that I use at the top. So, Mr. Houston, if you're asking, can you use Bridge? The simple answer is yes. The easy answer is yes, 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 and guess what? Yes. Because each of these programs that I've loaded in, and I can hit this little plus button, I can either load in any applications that are open, or I can browse and I can go and find some new applications and add them in. And what I've basically got here is a bunch of different programs. As I say, I've renamed my quick keys Snow White because it's the Nebula White, and we're big Disney lovers. If you want a competition, we've got a competition which is going to run in October, which is, you got to guess what the name of my standard black quick keys is called, and it's something to do with a Disney theme. So that competition is going to run in October for a chance to win. Excuse me, a chance to win a quick keys. So what I've got here is all of the applications, and if I click on, say, Photoshop, you can see this is the quick key buttons for Photoshop. These are how I've got my version of Photoshop configured for my quick keys. And you can see how the dial works as well. So there's 4 different buttons. And I can choose any of these sets to flick through, and I can control each and every single one of these quick key actions. If I were to jump into Lightroom Classic, you can see all my apps at the top. So I've got Lightroom Classic that's here. You can see I have my ratings, my options, my tools, my set D, which I can rename if I want. And then set E is grayed out because it's not being used. And I can come in and I can enable it and turn it on. Or I can go back in and turn it off if it's one set that I don't need. So you've got complete control. And any of the buttons that you've got in here, if I just enable this for set E, I can come in and I can add in any keystrokes. I can go in and add in modifiers. I'm on a Mac, so it's Command, Shift, Control, Space, left clicks, things like that. I can come in and say, let's open up forward or backwards, or open up programs, applications, open and run applications. I can have actions in Photoshop, batch processing. All of that can be configured and controlled here within the settings panel. And that's the beauty of this quick keys. Because the quick keys give you an OLED display, which will tell you what each of the sets and each of the buttons are. And that to me is the biggest game changer that this company has done for the marketplace for all artists. If you retouch photographs, if you use Bridge a lot, then you think about what buttons you do and you press within Bridge, and you bring those keyboard commands instead of reaching up to the menu systems or going to the keyboard to push the buttons. You bring them down and put them on the quick keys, which just means you're not stretching across, leaning across to where your keyboard is, or you're not fumbling around the menus to say, hey, where am I? What is it I'm doing? Where is that menu item? We're right clicking over here in the layer panel to say, how do I duplicate a layer? Oh, there it is here. Or do I drag it from here down? Do you know, it just makes it easier that I have one button that's on my quick keys that says in Photoshop, duplicate layer. If you look at my layer panel here, oh, look, it's just duplicated. That was easy. If I go and open up my brush panel, you can see my cursor is still here, but I can push a button on my quick keys to open up my brush panel or my color panel, or I can close those because I have them programmed on my quick keys. If I wanted to convert this layer, as you can see, it's a background layer. If I wanted to convert it into a smart object, instead of you guys just sitting and listening to me during this webinar, I'm going to ask you guys, how do I convert any object into a smart object? What would you guys do to convert it into a smart object? Anyone care to answer this? And if you do answer and give us some feedback, we may do some spot prizes as we're going on.
In fact, what we'll do after the meeting as well is we'll also do a giveaway of a 1-year subscription to the Creative Cloud in addition to what Ian's going to give away.
Absolutely. So if I wanted to make this into a smart object, guys, I can go through the menu systems and start going to the layer menus and creating it into smart object. You can see here, smart objects convert. But I'm having to come away from my image to go and find it through the menus. Now, I don't think I know many people that still go through this to go and convert things into smart objects in this way. A lot of people, what they would do is they would come over to the layer panel and they would right click and there's a little button that says, hey, convert into smart object. Do it this way. I can see Arnold's, DJE Arnold has said Alt Control Shift Q. So if you were to look at your keyboard and figure out where the Alt, the Control, the Shift, and Q are, my question is, have you ever played the piano? Because some of the keyboard combinations that you come up with in Photoshop means that your two hands are all over the place trying to get these keyboard commands. Guys, look at my layer panel, and I'm going to push one button on my quick keys that's converted it straight into a smart object.
Cool.
Sorry, let me just undo that and do it again. If you blink, you'll miss it. It's that quick. My cursor is here. The pointer is over the image. I don't have to come over to do anything on the sidebar. I can push one button, and I now have it as a smart object. How fast is that? That is super cool. All right. If I jump through my quick keys settings, I've got a couple of images opened here. There's 2 images that I'm going to play with. But what I also have on my quick keys is a set which is actually called Open Document. So within here, if I go to my quick key settings, you can see I have, back to Photoshop actually, you can see that I have sketching, which is new layers, fit in view, normal standard options. I have one which I've named called painting because it's got my brush panel and my color panel. There's a command J for duplicating the layer that is here. All right. I've got a button that says smart objects and it says shift and F1. I'll talk about that shortly. And I've got a switch color. which is the letter X. We all know that if we want to change our foreground and background colors, then we push the letter X on the keyboard. Well, I've got a button on my quick keys, which means I don't have to reach across to the quick keys or to the keyboard, which means I don't have to stop what I'm doing and look, where's the keyboard X to press it. It's automatically programmed, automatically set up here for me because of how I use it. If I go to the one that says document, I've got quite a lot in here. And one of them says open demo files, open demos. So if I were to push this button that's on my quick keys, it says open demos. So I'm pushing one button. And if you look now at the top of my taskbar, I actually have 4 files that have opened up. So for me doing presentations, if I wanted to open up the files that I use to do presentations, I can program all of this to open up by pressing one button on my quick keys. Now, how do I do that magic sauce? What is that magic that I do in order to push one button to produce this?
I think
Photoshop actions.
I think I saw a question in here. I think the question was, what was the shortcut for making a smart object?
It's an action.
It was an action. Gotcha.
Yep. So what I actually have in here, let me just close down some of these actions, is that I live and love actions. Actions, and more actions. So you can see that I have an action in here, which is called Smart Object. Hopefully you can see that on the screen. And I've ran through how to take any layer and convert it into a smart object. But what I did is I recorded that as an action. So I recorded me making any document into a smart object, and I added a keyboard command to the side of that. The minute I add a keyboard command to that action, it means that when I'm in my quick keys, you can see here, command and F10. That's for opening up the demo files. Shift and F1 is to convert it to a smart object. So that when I'm in Photoshop, you can see Shift and F1 for smart object. And by making it as an action means that I can bring it down onto my quick keys. This is here. And I can come in and say, hey, I want it as a keystroke. I can call this smart objects. You can see it says Shift F1. And here's a trick. If for you guys who have actually already looked at the quick keys, the wording smart objects, if I put the $sign between smart and objects, what it does is it emulates a line return on your quick keys. So the word smart will be at the top, the word objects will be at the bottom. So you then create smart objects in 2 lines. Just by doing that, I now have smart objects on 2 lines of text. Stephen, if you can just switch over to the main view so folks can see this just on. If I do that and hold it up, you should see the very first one on the bottom line now says the word smart, and then objects is on the starting line. And that's because I put the $sign in between.
Cool.
Look at all the other lovely little buttons that I've got in here. So for you guys who asked, can you use this in Bridge? Absolutely. 1,000,000%. What do you do in Bridge? What are the buttons you press in Bridge? Whatever buttons you press in Bridge on your keyboard, whatever menu items you use, whatever batch processing that you apply, bring those keyboard commands down into the quick keys. So you can go click, 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 and run through the quick keys. Now, one of the other things that I want to show you about the quick keys is you've seen my layout with me being over the top, so that I have my quick keys to the side and I have my pen tablet. Stephen, if you just flick over to my over the top camera, which is here, so you can see my quick keys. I'll just move this all over the way. Quick keys is sitting here because I'm left-handed. I like the tablet here. I actually, when I'm working, would push the tablet off to the side so that the ergonomics of my arm coming down. So if I were just to flick over to this sort of view, so I would have, I'll just move this little notepad out of the way. I actually would have the pen tablet sitting to the side so that it's a natural feel of my arm coming straight down towards the pen tablet. Now, it means that I have the quick keys here on the right-hand side. And as you can see, I have the quick keys sitting on its side. and you can see the OLED display just works perfectly here. But one of the things that I can do, if you just keep watching the OLED display for the quick keys, you don't have to have it sitting like this. You could actually have it sitting like that. And you can see the OLED display has changed to make it that it's readable. So if you wanted to, I could have it sitting here and I still have access to all my buttons and the dial, because I can change the orientation of this quick keys. And I can say, well, do you know what? Let's do that. That's the way I like it, at 180 degrees. Let's go in and change it to 270 degrees. And you can see here, all the text is still readable. And now the dial's at the bottom. So it depends on how you want to lean, how you want to change the settings, how you want to customize it. You could say, let's go in and just change it to zero angle, which means it goes like that. So if you were right-handed, you'd have your tablet over to the side, and you can have your quick keys on this side. Pen in your hand, fingers over the top of the quick keys, ready to get stuck in. It is completely flexible, completely changeable, and customizable. You guys get to say what you want it to be. We don't force it in any way. We don't tell you how it has to be. We give you the complete freedom so you can make it yours. You can customize it how you want. Now, here's the thing. While we're just in this view, if I put my tablet here just to the side, this is how I would actually work. This is my setup with my desk mat. And if I was using other tablets created by other companies, there would be a series of buttons that come down the side of the tablet. So we decided to take those buttons off our tablet and put them onto the quick keys. And one of the deciding factors of doing that was because too many people were telling us that their hand accidentally leaned over. So if they had the tablet in front of them and their hand was sitting at the side while they were sketching or retouching, that their hand accidentally hit the buttons. And if you were left or right-handed, you had to swap the tablet around on some other products, and things kind of felt upside down, and the charge port was then moved to an awkward position just to get the buttons to sit for you. There was so many little things. So Sense Labs decided, let's take the buttons off the tablet and put them onto the quick keys. So then it gives you the full tablet area that you can work on. Now, we decided to give you 3 buttons at the top of the tablet, and they're outside of the control area, outside of your workspace. So there's no way your hand is going to hit into those buttons at the top of the tablet, even if you're sitting away to the side. And some people told us that when they're left or right-handed and they had the tablet off to the side for other companies, in order to get access to the buttons, they had to reach over in order to get access to those buttons. And that doesn't feel natural for your arm, because you should never sit with the tablet directly in front of your computer. And anybody that does, please stop. Anyone that sits like this, please, please, please stop, because your arms aren't designed to work inward towards the center of your mass. And if you sit with your arms forced inwards, you'll get arm strain, you'll get shoulder strain, you'll get all sorts of difficulties. The tablet should be positioned to the left or the right-hand side, and your arm, the ergonomics should just flow straight down through your arm and straight to the tablet surface. Whether you're left or right-handed, it should be positioned like this. It's a more natural experience.
My only suggestion for the quick keys here is that on the back of the quick keys here, make it magnetic, so I can attach it to my monitors or my desktops. Just an idea.
So you'll notice that I actually have this little stand.
Oh, what is that?
It's a little 3D printed stand, and one of our artists, it actually says my name on the front of it here. He's designed up a whole series of them, of different stands for the quick keys.
You guys just in.
It literally just angles the quick keys ever so slightly so that it makes it a little bit lifted up off the desk. It's not needed. You can still have the quick key sitting here as you're working. But Stephen, if you wanted to, and you had this to the side, during the Photoshop World Conference, one of the folks that was presenting for us is Olaf. It's a German LinkedIn learning teacher. And what he actually was using was a mobile phone stand just for
Yeah,
the quick keys to sit onto. So it's set
yeah.
up like this, angled, so that he could have quick and easy access to it. And
So
there's a whole host of 3D printed materials like this that are out there on the marketplace that users are now just creating themselves. They're saying,
right,
wow, I know how to use this. I can create this myself.
right.
And I think Stephen, you mentioned you had, I think it was 8 3D
Eight,
printers at one
yes.
stage.
So, and Diane just asked the questions if I could actually 3D print this. The answer is yes, I could. So if
Yep.
you have those STL files, I would love to grab them and print it up and see how it works.
Yeah, well, there's everything. There's from this, there's all different pen stands and holders and things like that artists are now going out to create.
And
Just around,
where do we find this?
I think it's Sketchfab.
Sketchfab. Let me go to Sketchfab now and find
Yeah.
it real quick.
For this one, I don't think you'll find this one on Sketchfab because he made this specifically for us in Sense Labs. But I can ask about the STL files so you can start customizing it and changing it. But there
Okay.
were a whole host of different pen tablets, holders, and things like that for the quick keys, and even for the pens themselves. Artists have been really creative with it, and you should see. Wow, I nearly said something that I shouldn't say. You should see what we have coming, is what I will say. And when it comes to 3D printing of gadgets and gizmos, you're gonna totally love it. There's so much coming, that it's really exciting, guys. Honestly. So this is my quick keys. I can change it around. You can see here if I just go through to my screen, you can see I can customize this if I wanted it. I can have it set up for bridge. Let's just go and add in and browse. And excuse all my lovely little applications. Let's just go and scroll, name it. And do I have even bridge loaded onto this? I don't have bridge. Oh, I'm sorry. I will go and download bridge when we stop. Oh, there's bridge. There we go. I'm going to load in bridge. I'm going to hit open. And I then say, hey, I'm opening up bridge. You can see here it's coming in. I've got bridge that's coming in now. I browsed, find bridge. I press the next button and it says, which profile do you want to use? So I'm going to use a generic one that says all software. I'm going to hit add. So this first one is all software, and anything I program in here will automatically be added on to any new applications. And there's bridge, which is here. So when I click on bridge, it's loaded in the set, which was just generic. And now I can come through here and program in any keyboard command that I want, or any keyboard command that I use within bridge. So my question is, if you use bridge, what do you do in bridge? If you use Photoshop, what do you do in Photoshop? What buttons do you click on? What menu items do you go to? What do you need to have access to in order to make this work for you? Because you can see here at the top of my screen, I'm using a Mac, and I even have my music for iTunes. Go to the top of my playlist, go to the bottom of my playlist, jump up and down screens, play, go to the previous track, go to the next track, and I have my dial so that it controls the volume of my music when I'm playing it. So if I'm playing music in the background, I can use my quick keys to control the music that's being played. Now my music, I have my computer connected up to my surround sound, and I can walk around using the quick keys to turn the volume up and down to play next track. I could even have it so there's a button in here that says shuffle, so it would shuffle the music for me if I wanted to. The quick keys last a quarter distance away, so you don't have to be stuck in front of it. We've had some photographers using the quick keys set up to tether to their cameras so they can use it as a shutter button on their quick keys. So it's going to use the tethering features directly to their camera so they can go click, 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 and it's taking the shots for them so they can review it on the machines. So they're not having to go backwards and forwards to go click to take the next snap, the next image. And guys, how you customize the quick keys is up to you. You can see I run OBS Studio. So if I do the over the shoulder camera thing, Stephen, if you just flick over to the other screen so you can see the over the shoulder camera here. So I have all these lovely little screens set up, and you can see the Mac laptop, the big display. Just up to the top is an iPad, and on that I have a program running called OBS, and you can see it has my scenes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and what that is there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5. I also have some extra buttons. There's 6, and then I have one crazy one, which is 7, which is now sharing both screens. So you can see what's on both screens, plus my overhead, plus me. Hey, I'm here still. Yay. So this is all controlled and all customized by using the quick keys. All controlled by using the quick keys, but taking a little bit of time to ask yourself, what do you do? What buttons in Photoshop do you press? What buttons in Lightroom do you click on? How do you work? How do you want to work? What is it you want to improve upon? Is it your workflow and your speed? Is it your retouching and your brushing? Because we can help you with this. So comment there from Houston is for Bridge and reviewing a large amount of images and rating them and opening them in Camera Raw to make tonal adjustments. You're going to love this. And I mean, you're going to totally fall head over heels in love with this. I'm going to show you in Lightroom after the break how you can actually customize this in Lightroom, and you can do the same within Bridge. You can do the same within Photoshop, or if you're using Lightroom Classic, or you're using Lightroom Mobile, or even if you want to use Capture One, all of the buttons that you're reviewing and customizing can all be set up on the quick keys. And it means that you're not having to go clickety-click either through menus or through keyboard commands. You can have this little guy in your hand, and you can use the dial to go through the images, and then you can use, say, a 1 to 5 or a 0 to 5, whatever point system you want for your rating, directly on the quick keys to speed everything completely up. So what do you think so far? I'm talking about the gadgets and gizmos. I haven't played with anything in Photoshop. I haven't done any pressure. I haven't shown you any of the cool features. I've just talked about everything. Stephen Houston just said, I'm sold. Take my money, please. What I would say, folks, and this is an open offer to everybody who's watching this video, right? For every single person that watches this video through the San Diego Photoshop group, if you do decide to purchase, and you get the medium bundle deal, which has the quick keys, then reach out to me and I will share all of my quick key settings. So I've got Photoshop, I've got Lightroom, Lightroom Classic, Lightroom CC. You've seen pretty much a lot of those buttons that I've got configured within my quick keys. I'm on a Mac, and what I've got here is all of these buttons programmed for Premiere Pro, for After Effects. Hey, look, Excel is in here as well, just to speed things up. I will share every single one of these quick keys to anybody that wants them. If you're on a Mac, it's a straightforward, easy export out. You guys import it in. If you're on a PC, then I have these all set up on my PC so that I can share them with you for the PC as well. And one of the things that I love about the quick keys is the ability to come in and export out or import in user settings. So I can come in here, and what I can do is say someone wants my Photoshop commands. I can come in, I can choose Photoshop, and I can export out my user settings, and I can say only Photoshop, please. Right? Only Photoshop. Or I can say, yep. Or I can say, hey, do you know what? Let's export out absolutely everything, all my settings. And when I've exported them all out, if you guys have our quick keys, if you have our pen tablet, all you do is you come in and you say import. And you import the user settings. And it will ask if you want to back up your own settings. So it automatically says, hey, back up your own settings so you don't lose them. Saves them to a file on your computer, and then it loads in my settings or anyone else's. Now, we are actually going to run an artist spotlight area on our community pages on SenseLab's website. where we will share not just my quick key settings and what I've got, but we'll share leading artists. And that's everything from ZBrush, Affinity Photo. It doesn't have to be the Adobe software. It can be any application that you load on. Actually, I just see a comment there. How about Affinity Photo? Yep. If there are keyboard commands that you use in Affinity, load them in, add them in, boom, job's done.
All right. So we're getting a lot of questions where people want to see you actually use the pen doing digital painting or compositing. We're going to do that after the 15-minute break, and it's time for that break now. So, let's do a 15-minute snack break, bathroom break, however you want to put it. And we'll come back in 15, and we will continue on where Ian will actually show us how to work live in his application of choice. I assume it will be Photoshop.
Photoshop and Lightroom.
Photoshop and Lightroom.
They're the two that I would use a lot of, but I'm also using Premiere and After Effects and things like that. And I'll talk about all the different apps and how you use it in all of the different apps. I see one last question there that's just popped up, or one last point is you just have to decide which size. Very cool. I actually have a very simple policy on that. So Stephen, just flick back over to me just for 1 second, please.
I mean, personally, I use the medium size, whether I'm on the road or whether I'm at home. I find the medium size is a perfect size to fit in my laptop bag. So I keep it at that.
So my question to you is this. If you're trying to decide if it's the small or the medium, what is the size of your display that you're using? Are you using a laptop and you need to be on the go? Are you using a desktop computer and you're going to be sitting at your desk? Is the size of your desk capable of taking the size of the medium, or is it restrictive and you need a small? And I'm not answering your question for you to say which one you should go for, because this is all user choice. Which one is going to fit with how you work? The small has the exact same features as the medium, just comes in a smaller size. It's great for travel, it's great when you're using like a laptop screen, because there's a less motion within the small to go from one side of the screen to the other, because it is a more compact size. Whereas if you're using the medium, it's a slightly longer arm stroke to go from one side to the other. Not much, but if you've got a huge display, say you're working off a 30-inch display, or maybe you've got two, maybe you've got an iMac and another display, two 24-inch or two 27-inch displays, then the small movement on the small tablet would be a large movement on your iMacs and your big displays. So maybe the medium would fit better because it's a slightly bigger movement, and it would match into the size of the displays that you're working with. There's I can't give you a definite answer to say, hey, buy this or buy that. My personal choice is that if I lift my laptop and I have to go anywhere, I use the small. If I'm sitting here at the desktop, I'll use the medium. And most of the times I'm using the special edition medium because of the contrast between the special edition and my desk mat that I have here that I use. So I would record a lot of tutorials here, do a lot of training, a few webinars, and I like the contrast difference between my white keyboard, a little pen holder and things like that, and the white tablet with the contrast here to the dark background. It makes it stand out better. But that's my personal choice. I've got a really big size desk. You can't see the other side of this desk and how messy it is. Even if I switch over to to this view, you're still only seeing roughly about half of this desk because it just stretches off to the side there. I'll show you. I even have hidden in the corner a little BB-8 robot that kind of rolls about the desk and talks to me now and again, and a few other bits of gadgets and gizmos that's there.
All right. So if you would please put your contact information in the chat here. All right, and I am going to share my screen because it's break time. So there it is. Ian, it is that time. So we have a quick question from Graphics Studio. Well, Stephen, are you going to change from Wacom to Sense Labs? Already have. I am now also going to be working as a pro artist with Sense Lab. and they have supported me with their products, and they're very, very good. Now, it's important that I have experience with both the two major brands in the market, SenseLab and Wacom, primarily because I'm a college instructor, and the college, insists that I also, enlighten my students to the alternatives out there, right? So I need to have access to both, SenseLab as well as Wacom. So yes, I am. I really, really, really like the SenseLab tablets. I think from the get-go, economically, what you're getting for the money is absolutely outstanding, and the quality again is outstanding. Right? It's up there with Wacom. It's a competitor. Um, and I don't see it. And when they come out with their future products, I know someone asked a question about the Cintiq style. We are under NDA. We can't say anything about anything right now, but just wait. Just wait. We will. If you joined us through this broadcast through the Eventbrite page, you're automatically a member of the Photoshop users group, and you will be notified of what's going to be happening. Okay. We will also be an affiliate for SenseLab. So Ian is already setting us up so that you will get a discount, all right, by using our code, which will be called SDPUG, is the code we're going to use. San Diego Photoshop Users Group, SDPUG. We'll use that as the code. So hang tight. We'll get that to everybody, and so that you can partake in this new product. Okay, so I see an advertisement here about if you want to be famous, you can buy followers. I didn't know you can buy followers. Why would I want to buy followers? Ian, you're next. You're back. But
thanks, Steve.
There we go. Hey.
You hear me okay? Guys, thanks. Hopefully everybody's still here and nobody's run away and decided to go and do something completely different after listening to me.
They're all still here. All of them. Actually, we have more.
Oh, even better. Happy days. So
Phil Gore has a question real quick before you go. How is the precision control with the SenseLab tablet? With my Wacom, I've noticed that it will lift. If I lift the pen away from the tablet, there is a microsecond where it's still in contact and the position of the object changes as I move away.
So the easiest answer to that is, how do you lift your hand off the tablet? Regardless of any tablet that you're going to have in the market, it all depends on how you lift your hand off. A lot of people, what they tend to do, and this is something that I've seen so many times, is that when they come to any tablet, that when they go to lift their pen off the tablet surface, they roll their hand to lift it off. And anytime somebody rolls their hand away like this, so it's there and then they roll, what they're actually doing on the tablet surface, and this is with every single tablet company in the planet, when you roll your hand off, you're taking the cursor that's on your screen and you're moving it through an angle, so you will always get a bit of displacement. So it all comes down to how you lift your hand off the tablet. With ours, the precision detail is there, but I won't say you're not going to get any roll, because it all depends on how you personally move your hand away from the tablet surface. One of the easiest things that I would say is, try this. Take a piece of paper. I'm trying to look for a normal piece of paper. I've got 1,000,001 little notebooks, but no sheets of A4 paper that sits here. So I'm going to flick over to this, if you can see. And I'll just find an empty page within this notebook. And what I would like you to do is to do this as a test. Take a normal pen. So it is a SenseLabs pen, but take a normal pen or pencil and write your name. So I'm left-handed, so you can see how I'm writing my name.
So if you went to Catholic school, you'll be taught to write right-handed.
I'm actually ambidextrous and I can write with both, but that's a completely different webinar. And we can go through that. But you can see here, folks, that I'm writing my name And how I lift out to write my name is that when I'm writing with my pen coming down, when I finish, my pen comes up off the page. Now, what I would say to people when they come to using any pen tablet at all, doesn't matter what brand of pen tablet it comes to, is that how you hold your hand on the pen and how you hold the paper is that your hand will naturally, my hand naturally sits on the paper. My hand is leaning on the page. The pen is comfortable in my hand that I can move the pen like this in this movement, which is easy. And how I hold the pen on a piece of paper should be the exact same as how I hold a digital pen. And how I move about when I'm working should be the exact same movements as to what I would do with a normal, proper pen in my hand. So a test that I always get people to do is I would hand them physically a pen and a piece of paper on top of the tablet surface and say, write your name. And you'll see people holding the pen either like this, or nobody will ever hold a pen and a piece of paper where their hand is sitting off the page. Not that I've ever seen. They're not going to hold the pen at the end and try and write their name like this. That's not going to happen. You're going to put the pen in your hand and you're going to lean, whether you're left or right-handed, you're going to lean on the page and you're going to write, hello, this is handwriting. Really bad handwriting, but it's handwriting. So what I would say to you is that if you get a little bit of precision error, it's because of how you're holding the digital pen onto the tablet. So if my hand is leaning on the page while I'm writing, if I were to take the page out of the way, my hand is on the tablet surface, and the movement that I should be making is this, with some movement of the hand, but it should never be held up in the air and moved around. And it should never be, when I put the digital pen in my hand, it should never be when I'm going to lift it off the tablet surface, it should never be a roll to come off. If I'm going to come off, I'm going to come off. And that will seriously improve any tablet. Probably shouldn't say that, but it will. It'll seriously improve any tablet that you're working on to make sure the precision stays where you want it to be. Having worked with Wacom tablets in the past, I've seen that where people would say, hey, I've noticed when I lift it up, there's a little bit of movement on it. There's a specific name and phrase that's given to that. Our tablets have that a lot less because of what we've put into our tablets compared to any other tablet company in the planet. Now, there's one or two other little things that I seriously need to point out to you folks. One or two things which are crucial as to why I think that this tablet is better than any other on the planet. And it's not just because I'm employed by the company. As I said at the very start of this, I made that decision before this company even offered me any job or employment. This was me looking at the tablet objectively, and I thought, wow, that's just amazing. Now, there's two little things. The first one is the size of this tablet. The aspect ratio of this tablet is what's called 16:9. Now, whenever I say 16:9, I get two different reactions. I get one reaction, which is, wow, seriously? That's amazing. And I get another reaction, which is, what does that mean? And you have this, you seriously get this blank look on people's faces going, okay, no idea what that means, but it must be important. So 16:9 aspect ratio. Think about every other pen tablet company that's on the market, because every other pen tablet on the market is 16:10. Your display that you're working on, most of the modern displays are 16:9, which is what our tablet is. So your display is 16:9. If you have an iMac, it's 16:9 aspect ratio. If you have a Mac Pro and you're using one of the Apple Studio displays, it's 16:9. Most of the common displays are 16:9 aspect ratio. So why does Ian keep repeating these values? What does it actually mean? Well, in all simpleness, if I put a circle down on our tablet and I draw around a circle, I get a circle on my screen. If I do that on a Wacom tablet or an XP Pen tablet or a Huion tablet, I do not get a circle. If I draw around a circle object, if I just set a page down and draw around a circle object on any other tablet companies, machines, devices, okay, on any other tablet branded, I will get an oval. It will distort the shape and it will not be a circle. Now think of this through. Literally just think this through, folks. If I draw a circle, if I sketch out and plan out on a piece of paper what I want to draw, a lot of people would sketch out first using pencil, and then I set the page down here on my tablet. If I use any other brand of tablet, Wacom included, let's call it out. I've used this tablet, Wacom tablets, for years. I will get an oval on my screen. There is a setting on Wacom tablets that you can configure the tablet to be 16:9, but what it does to your tablet is it reduces approximately 1 inch off the bottom of your tablet surface. And you don't have, like us, little LED markers to show you your tablet's face. All it does is it chunks off a portion at the bottom, so you get 16:9. And if you don't know where that setting is, how are you going to know to change it? So when you draw with our tablet, what you draw on the tablet is what you're going to see on the screen, on your display. If you draw with other tablet companies, what you draw on your tablet will be distorted on your screen, and you'll end up having to fix it and reposition it to make it right. So that's a huge step forward. That's only the one point. I said there was two. The second one is this, and hopefully you'll be able to see this if I kind of hold it up like this. There's a gentle, very easy sloped surface that's just at the end of our tablet. So just here at the end of the tablet, there's a very gentle slope that comes down. Now, what does that mean? Why? Who cares? It's just a slope. Well, imagine sitting, working for long hours at the tablet, and your hand is moving around the tablet surface. You're no longer at the bottom of your tablet, hitting off a hard edge and coming to a hard edge at the end of the tablet. Sense Labs curved the bottom of the tablet so that as you're working, your hand is gliding around that tablet surface to make it so much easier for you, to make it glide and feel silky smooth whenever you're working on it. And then when your pen touches down onto the tablet surface, that's when your artwork kicks in. So if you want to move around your screen, 16:9 aspect ratio does mean that I now have my screen set up so that as I move around this tablet, hopefully you can see if I do this view, as I move around my tablet surface, what I've got on my tablet matches what I've got on my screen from the 16:9 aspect ratio. Okay, so it makes it so much easier. Now, I have on the screen here, which is the current pricing for the pen tablet. Okay, so the current pricing for the pen tablet at the minute is $359.99, and that's for the medium bundle. You get the tablet, you get the two pens, you get the quick keys, you get the cases, you get the carrying case, you get all the leads, you get the dongle, you get everything. If you were to look at our competitors, the Wacom Pro Pen 3D is a separate purchase. Well, the Wacom Pro Pen 3D basically gives you 3 buttons. Hey, guess what? We give you a 3-button pen, which actually has an eraser. Wacom doesn't have an eraser on their Pro Pen 3D. We give you a slimline pen. It's part of the bundle. You got to buy the slimline pen from Wacom, and it's an additional $70, $80 or thereabouts to buy. The Pro Pen is an additional purchase. The quick keys comes as part of the deal. If you want to buy Wacom's remote, it's an additional purchase. So all in all, our bundle deal is significantly less expensive compared to Wacom, compared to any other company that's out there for what you actually get within the actual package deal itself. And what I would say is, if you were thinking of the small, we have an amazing offer on the small at the minute, which is $139.99. Now, with the small, you will not get the quick keys. You will get the 2 pens, you will get the case, you will get the carry case, you'll get all the cables and all the dongles and all the nibs. But with the small is on its own without the quick keys. But of course, you can come in for an additional $99, $100, $99.99, and buy the quick keys as well. So there's plenty of choice and plenty of options there for you. Now, what I actually want to show you is this. I'm in Firefox on this screen, and I have my quick keys. So I've got Firefox in my main window that you can see, and just below Stephen, you can see where I should be, but you can see my quick keys. And I have little buttons in Firefox that allow me to jump down just by pushing the button. So I can scroll down and read the page in Firefox. I can go to the top of the page, I can go to the bottom of the page. I can use the dial to go up and down just by spinning the dial. And this is my quick keys working how I want it to work in Firefox, because Firefox is the browser that I use. So easy, so simple. It just makes sense. Labs. So before I jump into Photoshop and Lightroom and start playing and showing you some of the things that's here, there are a couple of things that I want to show you. And one is a video. Now, I'm not going to play the entire video, but it's a video from a good friend, Glyn Juice. I'm not sure if some of you folks maybe have heard of Glyn. Glyn Juice is a retoucher, author, photographer here in the UK. And this is his YouTube channel. So if you search on YouTube for Glyn Juice, this is the chap here, Glyn Juice. This is a video which Glyn did for us, and it's all his own words. It's all his own setup. He wasn't paid for this in any shape or form. Like Stephen, we sent him a tablet bundle, and he had to play with it. Like me, he had to play with it, and once he had to play with it, he was hooked. So hooked that he produced this video, 8 minutes, 54 seconds, so thereabouts. And you can see the title of this video is Goodbye Wacom and Hello Sense Labs. Finally, a pen tablet that works. Okay, so I'm not going to play the entire video, but I do want, hopefully you can be able to hear this. Hopefully this will come across. Let me know if you can hear the audio. Stephen, if you can just make sure everybody can hear the audio, okay?
Oh yeah, well they can see the Twitch is taking all the audio in. I think. You know what? I have no control over that. You have to turn on the audio.
Ah, okay. So let me just do this.
And your microphone is muted, by the way, in case you didn't know it.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you perfectly.
Happy guys.
So if you can put your microphone next to your speaker, then we can hear.
Okay, let me do that. Do this.
We'll just have to do it that way. Because I don't. Okay, there you go.
So I'm going to play the video. I'll play the first couple of minutes of it. I'll scrub through. I'll play a few bits. Please check out this video. It's completely independent. Glyn was given our products the same as Stephen, the same as I was before I joined the company, and he did an honest review of the product.
Hello, Ian. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Listen, this is just a quick call. You use a pen tablet, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so the folks in Sense Labs have released a pen tablet. It's out on the market, and I would love for you to check it out, see what you think.
Mate, that is really kind of you, but a pen tablet is just a pen tablet, right?
You guys hear that okay?
We heard it before, yeah. It was, well, we heard him talking.
Can you see the video? Is it sharp?
You can see the video perfectly.
Brilliant. So that was Glyn's first introduction. Let me just skip through.
All right. Yeah, we see and hear it perfectly.
Honest and transparent. Okay, so let's kick off by being completely open, honest, and transparent. In this video, I'm going to be talking about this new pen tablet bundle from Sense Labs, which they sent to me. I'm not being paid to do this video, and I've not been told what to say, but I also don't have to send it back. Right, now that's out of the way, let's talk about editing life before this Sense Labs kit turned up. When I first started out, one of the first things I was advised to get was a pen tablet, rather than using a mouse to edit my images. Using a pen tablet, once you get used to it, is supposed to make editing life so much easier, faster, accurate, and make you feel much more connected to what you're working on.
Yep, there's ads. Okay.
The brand I used was Wacom. They were the name and the one to have at the time. But as time went on, the irritations and annoyances crept in. The drivers were completely unreliable. I'd repeatedly have to turn it off and turn it on to reconnect. It was supposed to be able to be used wirelessly, but the Bluetooth was so unreliable dropping connection, and when it did connect, the lag became unusable. So I had to resort to it always being wired. The touch function, although a great idea in theory, ended up being a complete pain in the ass. I'd forever end up accidentally swiping to a different desktop or activating something I didn't want to. So I just ended up turning that off as well and never using it. And then there's the function keys. I have my tablet positioned off to the side, so this meant if I wanted to use the function keys and rotation dial, I would have to reach across myself or perform a black belt origami move to use the same hand I was holding the pen with. So I didn't bother using them. So despite the potential, this thing became unreliable, annoying, and actually the most basic version of what it was meant to be. This thing, though, is totally different. This is the medium pen tablet bundle from Sense Labs. And in the bundle, you get the tablet, not just one pen, but two, the 3-button pen and the thin pen. And they come in this great little case that also houses a selection of nibs, the dongle to use everything wireless, a USB-C type adapter, a drawing glove, and some other bits and bobs. They've also got something called quick keys, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Okay.
Now, the driver gives you so much control and ability.
So the reason why I'm showing this, folks, is very simple. Glenn is completely independent. We didn't pay him for this. We didn't ask him to produce this. We just wanted an honest review of our pen tablet. I would strongly recommend that you take 9 minutes or 8 minutes and 54 seconds out of your day to run through and see exactly what Glenn thinks of our pen tablet and why. Even down to this little section that I'm just going to scrub across that I was talking about.
Now, obviously, the pen tablet is pressure sensitive, but one thing that makes a huge difference, but might not seem like a biggie, is the aspect ratio. The aspect ratio of the Sense Labs tablet is 16:9, whereas the aspect ratio of the Wacom tablet is 16:10. Now, this is a biggie because it directly affects where the position of the pen is on the tablet and where that corresponds to the position on the screen. Now, I've printed out this circle and I'm going to place it on top of the Sense Labs tablet. And in Photoshop, I have a document open and a red brush selected. And I'll just use the pen to trace around the circle. Now I'll use the Wacom pen and tablet, and on a new layer with a green brush, I'll do the same. I'll place the paper on top of the tablet and trace around the circle. But look at the difference. Look how the tracing I did using the Wacom has produced an oval and not a circle. Again, this is a big deal, especially for artists, those who will draw out their pictures and then put them onto the tablet to trace round and digitize them. With the Wacom, when they trace it, they're going to find that proportions are all over the place and the image can actually look stretched. Where the Sense Labs, what you see is what you get. The proportions are exactly the same, all because of that aspect ratio being 16:9. Now, you can actually change the aspect ratio of the Wacom tablet to match the proportions of your display. But to do this, you have to go a few layers deep into the driver, navigate to mapping, and then force proportions. However, this also reduces the size of the active surface area of the tablet, effectively making it smaller. I'm guessing there's quite a few people that don't know about this or how to fix it. But why isn't it set to match your screen dimensions anyway? This is like having to change a setting in your car to make it steer correctly. Now, there is more that I could say, but the last thing I'll mention, apart from the price of the Sense Labs being less than the Wacom tablet, is Quick Keys. This is a game changer. With the Quick Keys, I can program each of the buttons and the rotation dial to perform a function depending on what app I'm using.
So I'm just going to pause it there, guys. It's an 8-minute, 54-second video. His little end screen basically is quite funny as well. So just bear with
The
me.
pen tablet, just another pen tablet. Absolutely not. Not when it works as well and is as built as well as this. And considering the cost, it just makes sense. Sense Labs. Right, that's me.
There you go. Guys, I strongly recommend you take a little bit of time out of your day. Go and watch Glenn's video from the full right through. Go and check out Sense Labs on YouTube, and you'll see a whole bunch of different artists. Have a look at our Sense Labs site, where we've got community and we've got artist spotlights. And we've got a range of different people here who are talking about our product, what they think about our product, how it works, as well as on YouTube.
Can you paste the link to Glenn's video into the chat, please? Be great.
At least I think I can.
There you go. Hey, that's it.
How did I paste into the chat? I need to log in.
Or do it through the StreamYard. That should work the same way.
If I paste it in here, and then you can I'm going to paste it in the private chat. If you can then paste it in the main chat.
Yes, that'll be great.
There you go. That's Glenn's video. Paste it in.
All right, doing it now.
He will love the fact that I've got this on screen and just paused on this one screen. Guys, I've just popped up on screen some of my contact details, and I'll show this again later on today as well. You can see Glenn's video that's in there. By all means, please reach out to me for copies of my settings, quick keys, and things like that. I'm more than happy to share and help people with these settings so that you can get up and running as quickly as possible. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to have a play. I'm going to play with Lightroom. I'm going to play with Photoshop, and I'm going to make sure my tablet is set up so that it's working across both displays. So right now what I can do is I can control both displays as opposed to just one. So as I'm using my tablet, I'm now scrolling from one side of my tablet area, which is here on the right-hand side. I'm going to go to the left-hand side of my tablet. You can see the cursor disappears off the screen, and it rolls right across onto the 16-inch laptop that I've got at the side. Now, the reason why I do that is so that I get full control and I make best use of the tablet area so that I can get as much into Photoshop into one small area. So, Stephen, just change the camera angle just so it's over the top for me 1 second, please. So now when I'm using Photoshop, I'm only using this area. I'm not using the whole tablet. Why? Because if I'm going to do some fine retouching, I don't want my pen to have to go the whole way from side to side within Photoshop. Someone asked earlier about precision and control. So for me in precision and for retouching and for airbrushing, I want to stay in small areas. I could zoom in, of course, but I don't want big hand movement. That's why I mentioned earlier, I like the small tablet for small motion of the hand. I don't want to go from side to side of this tablet to go from my 24 or 27-inch screens that I have. I want a small movement to go across so that I can basically do this. If you look at my hand and my fingers, and I can do that as opposed to having to do this. That changes your entire workflow, your entire setup. So, Steve, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to jump in and out of Photoshop. So hopefully you can see Photoshop up on the screen. And what I'm going to do here is this is a really old image. Hopefully you guys have seen this image 1,000,001 times over the years in Photoshop. And What do we use this image for? Well, we use it to correct and fix all of this, what's called dust and scratches and imperfections that's around the image. How do we do that? Well, we come across here and we come down our brushes and we've got spot healing, healing brush, patch tool, all of these lovely little guys that we can jump in and we can start correcting this image. And hopefully you've used some of these in the past. So before I go and start using these, I have a pen tablet, I have Photoshop, and I want to show you very easily how I can create some nice new documents, play with some brushes, control the brushes, control my settings for the brushes using my quick keys, using my pen, using the tablet buttons, all within Photoshop. Okay, so Stephen, if I could ask you just to change over to this screen so you can see everything just for 1 second. And if I do, yeah, if I keep it on this, so what you can see here is you've got my Photoshop screen, you've got me down in the corner, and below that, you've got my overhead view. And you should be able to make all this out. And the reason why I want to do that is my quick keys. So in Photoshop for my quick keys, I have a button that says, oh, I have a button, just back onto this one. I have a button that says new document black, new document white. All right, new document black, new document white. That's a buttons that I have on my quick keys. Guess what happens when I push this new document black? Anyone care to guess? Hey, I get a black document. Guess what happens when I push new document white? I get a white document. You can see at the top of my screen. Untitled, untitled. I push the button, new document black, new document white. It's creating new documents, black or white documents. How am I doing this? This sounds like magic. What am I doing to create this? If I open up my actions, I have an action that says create me a new document black, another one that says make me a new document white. They're actions. These are actions, folks. And if I click the button that says make me a new white document, boom, that's it there. Just run that action that says make me a new document. If you've never made actions, if you've never used the action panel to automate your processes, then let's set up another session so we can take you through it, because this is nothing compared to the number of actions that I normally have loaded in. I actually went and took out quite a few actions just so it doesn't confuse you. I would have millions upon millions of actions loaded into Photoshop. Now, another thing which I'm going to show here is my pen and my tablet itself and the buttons that's on that. I have a question for you. When I'm in Photoshop, what is the key on the keyboard that changes the foreground and background? Anyone care to guess? So
I know, but I'm not going to say it.
Yep, let's just test to see if people are still with us. Anyone know what the keyboard command is to change?
There it is. Diane Arnold has it right there.
There we go. A couple of people coming. X.
And Phil also.
Brilliant. Now, you can see that I've just put blue and red in here to my colors. So I'll give you 10 out of 10. You've all got that 100% right. You got the button X on the keyboard. So for me, if I wanted to, I would have to go and start pushing X on the keyboard and reaching over to the keyboard and pressing X. If I do that, you can see the foreground and background color changes. Yep. Next question. What is the keyboard command that resets your foreground and background colors to black and white? A lot of lazy people would say, oh, you just come over here and you click the little black and white squares and that resets it. But what's the keyboard command that will take it and reset your colors that's in your foreground and background to black and white?
Now, my Photoshop users members should know this.
How do you default?
There you go.
There you go. Default. It's in the name. D for default. So
D for default.
If I want to default my colors to black and white, I have to push the letter D on the keyboard. And then if I wanted to create a black brush, I would have to press the letter X to swap from white to black or from black to white, depending on what I wanted. Okay. So what I decided to do is that when I'm using my pen tablet, the 3 buttons that I have at the top, 3 buttons that I have at the top allows me to make sure that I can select a brush within Photoshop, or I can jump between the brush and the normal selection tool or the normal move tool, which is V. So I customized the pen tablet to work specifically for Photoshop to speed up my workflow. If I take the 3-button pen that I'm currently using, then I can have the 3-button pen with one of the middle buttons being set as X. And if I wanted to default my brushes, then I can have the letter D set to default my brushes, just like that. So in Photoshop, the button, the very first button on my pen is now default. The next button is X, and the top button is right click. So now that I'm in Photoshop, if you switch over to everything here, Stephen, just for 1 second.
Got it.
Okay. So my pen is now set up so the first button is default. The next button is swap foreground and background color. So while my pen is just hovering over the top of the surface, I push the top button, it defaults. And if I push the next button, the middle button, you should see the black and white foreground and background colors changing as I push the middle button. How easy is that? I don't have to stretch over and go D and X. So if I was in using layers and using layer masks, and if I'm sitting with a mouse in my hand, I went and got a mouse for you, I wouldn't have to reach across to the keyboard, stretch across to the keyboard to go X and D. Because I could either program it into the quick keys or I can program it into the pen itself. So I can very quickly swap backwards and forwards through those. That is a big thing for me. Now, I'm just going to go and flick through another setup that I have here, and I'm going to choose mouse. So in my quick keys, I have a setting that says mouse, one that says size, one that says opacity, and one that says size and opacity. And that's just me playing with different brushes. So I'm going to click the one that says mouse. I'm going to default my brush, and I'm going to paint from one side to the other. And guess what? That looks like I've went and got a brick, a mouse, and painted from one side to the other. Every pen tablet in the country, in the world, does that. Every mouse just paints like that. The size of the brush that you have, the size of the brush that you have will be the size of the ink that gets put onto the screen. I'm going to push one button on my quick keys. Guys, I'm pushing one button on my quick keys. And if I paint and lean down heavier and lean down lighter and lean down really light on the tablet surface or lean down really heavy, look at the pressure sensitivity that I have in the control. I get a ooh. Can I get an ooh? Wow. Okay. Pressure sensitivity. I push one button on the quick keys and boom, I've got now pressure sensitivity. Now, within my settings for my pen, and this is one of the things I totally love about SenseLabs products, because I'm in Photoshop, I can set the pressure and how I lean down on the tablet surface. I can go into very advanced settings, almost like the curves adjustment that you would have within Photoshop. I can get very precise settings, and I can test that. So if I lean down lightly, I'll get thin wisps. If I lean down heavy, I get larger chunks. So how do I lean down in Photoshop? That's what this panel is all about. So very lightly, I'm getting bigger, thicker chunks. Very lightly, I'm getting little wisps. I have full control over this in Photoshop, but how I work in Photoshop is different compared to how I work in Lightroom when it comes to pressure. I lean down heavier in Photoshop compared to Lightroom, or compared to Illustrator, or compared to Lightroom, or compared to any other application. Well, I have the setting here within our quick key settings or within our SenseLab settings, the ability to control the pressure within Photoshop. So I can control, instead of getting that size of circle and it filling that circle, I can say, well, if I lean down lightly, I'm going to get a very wispy line. If I lean down heavy, I'm going to get a big solid line. Now, how cool is that? All right, let me just undo. So that was size. If I push the button for opacity, then guess what? Down heavy, I get a solid line. If I lean down light, I get a very wispy, thin, opaque, transparent line. So every pen tablet in the country, in the planet, should be able to give you these features. And if you've ever used Photoshop, there are buttons at the top of the screen which will control the size and the flow and the strength that you're controlling. So if I jump over here to my brush settings, you can see that I have transfer and it's set up with pen pressure. That's enabling me to lean down heavy or lean down light to get different intensity because it's set up as pen pressure. If I set up for size, then the shape dynamics, the size is set up for pen pressure. And I can control my brush settings. Now what I mentioned is I was pushing one button on my quick keys and it's automatically jumping between those. And you can see this straight away. How am I doing that? So I'm literally just pushing one button on my quick keys, and that one button allows me to jump between each and every single one of those settings. Well, it's dead easy. If you use Photoshop and you're playing with brushes, if you're painting with brushes, then you've got what's called brush presets. So you can mix a brush, you can design up how you want that brush to look, and the minute you design it up and you have it the way you want it, you can come up and you can save a brush preset. If you save a brush preset, then what you can do with SenseLabs is that you can create an action. And the action basically is go and select this brush preset. That's all the action is. Go and select a brush preset. So I have a whole bunch of different brush presets that I've created. And you can see here jumping up and down through the actions, depending on which one I want to click on. And all it's doing is it's choosing a different action. And all that action is doing is I've set up some brush presets as to how I want the brush to look. And then I've saved that as a preset, and I've given it a name. It's a very simple way for you to control how your brushes will look and feel. If I come into an image, let's come into this image first. So if I wanted to make this more of an art styled image, I want to just jazz up the edges of this, then what I'm going to have to do is change it from a background layer so that I can add on a layer mask. Okay. So Stephen, if you can just change the camera so folks can see my overhead just for 1 second. So here, what I actually have within my settings on my quick keys, one of the sets basically says reveal or conceal. Lift and reveal, lift and conceal. Now, let me just show you on screen. If I have this image and I push reveal layer mask, one button, it keeps the image, it's released the background, and it's giving me a layer mask. One button. Let me just revert that back. Oh, I've got a button on my quick keys that says revert, by the way. So I can push one button to go back.
Are your layers set to large size? Might be easier for the guest to see. There you go. Yeah, much easier.
Yep. Yeah. So if I do that again, my image, I'm over here, my cursor is here. If I push the button on my quick keys, it says reveal layer mask. It's changed from background layer, and I've got a layer mask added in there. I have a button on the quick keys that says revert. I can conceal it. So I've now got this checkerboard effect because I've got an inverted layer mask. I can revert it. I have a button that says lift up and reveal, which is like so. So it's taken the selection, moved it onto its own layer, and it's given me a white mask beside it. Lift and conceal does the same, but gives me a black mask. Okay, so it's inverted the mask. So why is that pretty cool? Because if I wanted to add a layer mask into this guy, I would have to come away from where I am, come over to the layer panel, come down to the bottom of the layer panel and add a layer mask. What if I wanted to invert that layer mask? Well, I could go into the properties panel and I could click invert. Do you notice I'm over here? I'm not here where the image is. Instead, I can just go like that, one button, click, and I'm still here where the image is. Just close down the properties panel. So it's just about speeding up your workflow by programming it down on your quick keys, so that I can say, hey, let's just lift up and conceal it. Then I've got a button on my quick keys that'll take me into my brushes. Let's push an edge brush. Okay, an edge brush. And the edge brush will allow me to come through. And if I lean down heavy, I'm just leaning down on my pen tablet surface. And I'm starting to paint the image back in. But look at the edging that's coming around. And if I lean down lightly, you get different strengths coming around. So it starts to give you a little bit of an artistic look and feel to your image. And I can get different strengths and strokes that comes through. My brush size, if it's not that big, if I want my brush size to be bigger, then I have the dial on my quick keys. And I can make the brush bigger or smaller. I'm just rotating the dial. I can make it bigger or smaller. So I can come in and say, well, let's just paint in a little bit more around here. I'm leaning down heavy because I want this part to be solid. And then I want this to be a little bit lighter as it comes through with some edging. I'm starting to create a completely different style of image using this type of edge brush that I've got just by painting it. So if this was a brush that I use a lot, instead of me having to come up and start selecting it and configuring it and trying to remember what the settings are, I can save it as a brush preset that will allow me very quickly and easily just to select it by using the quick keys. I have another brush, which is called a grunt brush. Okay, and it just allows a little bit of a stippled edge that comes around it. I like this kind of effect that comes through it. It's different for everybody. There might be certain styles. I've done quite a bit of artwork like this for folks, and then in the background, I'm just very lightly running through. And anytime I go too far, hey, look, I can use the pen just to swap, so that I can fade that down or take it away just by standard layer masks. But I'm not having to come across and push these buttons. I'm not having to press X on the keyboard to jump through. I can do that just by putting pen pressure down or by clicking and jumping between, so I can get different strengths. Pretty easy, fairly straightforward, just by controlling the brushes, just by controlling actions here, that I can say, go and do this action with this keyboard command. And what it's doing is it's selecting different brushes for me just by one click. And I can program those brushes very easily so that I get different effects. Okay, let me go back to this image, which is where we're starting. So with this image, what I want to do is I want to fix all the dust and scratches that's in the background. Now that you have an idea of what I can do on my quick keys, then I actually have a button that's on my quick keys, which will actually lift this image up and duplicate it. So what's the keyboard command to duplicate a layer? Anyone care to guess what the keyboard command to duplicate a layer is?
They should know this.
Please don't say drag it from the background layer down over the new layer icon, because it is an option to do that, but I hate that. So let's see who can get this right. How do I duplicate a layer? What keyboard command is it?
You guys should know this. I should see a bunch of responses in here.
There you go.
Finally.
Yeah. Control or Command J. Control or Command J. Control on a PC, Command if you're on a Mac. and it duplicates the background there. So guess what, guys? I'm not going to go Control or Command J. What I'm going to do is very easy. Is I'm going to push a button on my quick keys that says Duplicate Layer. As you'll see in here on my quick keys, if I'm in Photoshop, these are all my options. And under this one, I have Duplicate Layer. And because I'm on a Mac, it says Command J. So I'll put a button that I can just click and it duplicates the layer. So I no longer have to reach across and go Control or Command J. I don't have to right click and go duplicate layer. I don't have to start dragging it down. I can very quickly, very easily speed up the whole process by pushing one button. If I push it again, hey, look, it's duplicated it again. How easy is that? So simple. So I'm going to fix stuff that's in the background here. I'm going to do it really, really quick. All right, really, really quick. There's a spot healing brush. I'm going to make sure my brush, I can change the size of the brush, and I can zoom in as well. So let me just come through and zoom in like so. I don't need to be too much, but I can change the brush size to make it bigger or smaller. Now, this is the thing. If I was using a brick being a mouse or a trackpad, okay, I'm going to grab a mouse here with my hand, and I'm going to pull over this area and just paint. Look at the size of the circle. Look at the size of the black area that's being painted. That's because I've got a mouse in my hand. I'm going to undo. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but this time I've got a pen in my hand on the tablet surface. And if I touch down on the tablet surface, hopefully you guys can see the size of the ink that comes out onto the screen. Can you see the difference in that? A second ago when I used a mouse, or if I used a trackpad, I would have got the full size of this circle. Now, because I'm using the pen tablet and the pen, it's just the pressure. It's just how hard do I lean down. If I lean down heavy, oh look, I'm going to get a big circle. If I lean down very light, then I can get a very small, retouched area. And this just allows me to very quickly run over for dust and scratches without worrying that it's got a big brush. It allows me to correct. Remember what I said about I like using very small wisps to very quickly run through? Now, imagine if I had some hair and I had to cut out some hair of someone. If I used a mouse, I would get that full size of circle. Because I'm using a pen, I can run through and very quickly get little wisps. And if you think that the size of the ink coverage that's being put on in the screen is too much, then it's just a matter of going in and saying, well, do I need to adjust the pressure? Or do I need to adjust the pressure within Photoshop? So you get a completely different style when it comes to taking out dust and scratches of the image. Something very quick. I'm not going to do the whole image, conscious of time for everybody as well. But you can see very quickly before and after just by running through. Now, that is something which is what I say is very basic. That's a very simple, very basic setup. But what it's doing here is it's showing you both from the quick keys that I can control the size of the brush. Now, if I look at the size of the brush here, you can see that the hardness of this brush that I currently have is set to 75. Again, there are keyboard commands that you can push that will change the strength of your brush. So it will make it, instead of 75, it will pop it up to 100. Okay? There are keyboard commands that you can go through to make not just the size of the brush, but the strength of the brush. Let's use the keyboard commands. You can see the hardness is now set at 0. Now it's at 25. There you go. Now it's at 50. There you go. Now it's at 75. So I'm using the keyboard commands, which is Shift and the two little brackets beside the letter P on the keyboard. Well, do you know what, guys? My quick keys allows me to do the same. If I have my quick keys, I have zoom, I have brush size, and I have one here that says soft hard edge, which is keyboard command for Shift and brackets. So while I'm in Photoshop, if I flick on and you can see the different colors. So see, soft hard edge is a green color. So brush size, I use that a lot, is blue. Okay. And I can change those colors and I can set them so that it changes it quickly or slowly, or it changes the color, and I can turn the color on and off if need be within the settings. So I can now control the strength of the brush, the hardness of the brush. So I can get a soft edge or I can get a hard edge just by turning the dial on the quick keys and make things so much easier. Now, I don't want to just play with Photoshop. There's so much more that I can jump in and out of and playing in Photoshop itself to correct images using this. But what I actually want to do is I'm going to jump across into Lightroom. Hopefully you guys use Lightroom as well. And Stephen, if I can ask you just to change the view just for one little second, and I'll just move StreamYard down here for 1 second. Okay, so what you should be seeing is on one screen here on the left, this is a whole bunch of files that I've got in a folder. And then on my main screen here, I've got Lightroom. So Lightroom has the ability that down at the bottom of Lightroom, just above its film strip, there's a little number 1 and a little number 2. And in here, you can say, well, I want number 2 to be the grid. Okay, so now this screen on the left-hand side is the grid, which means that over here on the main monitor, any image that I take and I jump through, that I can keep my grid opened on one screen and I can have the main image opened on the other. Now, if you look at what I'm doing, my tablet, if you can still see this overhead view, my tablet is split so that the left-hand side of my tablet is the left-hand screen. The right-hand side of my tablet is the right screen. I'm in Lightroom. If I want to go to my grid view, I press G to go to my grid view. If I want to go to my develop view, I press D to go to my develop view. They're standard keyboard commands that you would do. If I'm using this Lightroom area with all of my grid, then what I want to do is I want to rate some images. I want to say whether the images is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whether the images is pick or reject. I'm just going to come out of this split screen because I use the split screen like this a lot, and I would review the images here and say whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see that on my quick keys, my very first set on my quick keys says 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what I can actually do is, if I just change to this view, if I just change to this view and turn off the grid view, like so. So you should now see just my Lightroom screen and my overhead camera and me. Brilliant. So if I wanted to, and I go and reach across to the keyboard and press G, then I'm in my main library command. I reached across and pressed the keyboard to go to G. I can program my pen to jump between G for grid and D for develop. So I can take any image from one view to the next. If I wanted to zoom in, then I can use it as a zoom. I can use the dial to zoom in. I can use the dial here, as you can see, just by changing the dial, I can zoom in or out of the images. If I push the button on the dial, then I can actually increase or decrease the ratings just by spinning the dial around. If I push the dial again, I can actually roll through images, or I can push it again to jump in and out. I have so much control over what I want to do with the dial and how I want to jump through each of the different images that I've got on the screen. I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have pick and I have reject all set up on the dial and on the quick keys. So as I'm going through my images, if I look at an image and go, no, I don't like it, instead of having to go to the keyboard for pick and reject, I can say, nope, don't like it. Let's just set it as reject. Yes, I like this one. Let's go pick. Yes, I go pick. Yes, I go pick. To do the ratings, someone mentioned earlier about ratings. So I can say, well, definitely that one's a 0. Set to 0. This one I like is set to 5, or maybe 4, or maybe 3. No, I'll set it to 5. I like this one. It's set to 5. And I can do that by clicking the buttons on the quick keys to speed up my whole process. And I can do that in Bridge. I can do that here in Lightroom. I can do that practically in any application. I can just run through with the quick keys and say, well, no, that's actually a 3. Yeah, I like it. It's going to be a 5. That one, let's go 2. And I can decide what I want to do. My first screen, the first screen that I have on my quick keys when it comes to Lightroom is the ratings, is what I call ratings. So that I can very quickly run through and set up and decide which images I'm going to keep, which ones I'm going to reject. The second screen is my options for my quick keys. So within here and within Lightroom, as you can see, the first one is ratings, the second one is options. What if I wanted to rotate images around, rotate left, rotate right? Right? Rotate left, rotate right. So if I had an image, if I wanted to rotate an image because I've taken it with the camera on its side, I have to come in and click these little arrows to rotate it. Well, for me, I can rotate the images just by going on the quick keys, rotate left or rotate right. So easy. One click just rotates it around and makes it so simple and so straightforward. Any questions? Any problems? Nope.
Nope, no questions yet.
My camera has just died.
So we can see your desktop fine. Your desktop is perfect, is coming through perfectly. Except your mic just got muted. Did we lose Ian? No, Ian's still there. We just lost your desktop. All right. So let's say, and Ian, your mic is muted, just in case you weren't aware of it. All right. I'm assuming he'll be back very, very soon. Something happened on his end. So how you guys liking this so far? Yeah, I think we lost Ian too. Actually, it's showing me here that Ian is there. It's just that it's muted. So far, you like it? Very good, Phil. Yeah, isn't this a great little alternative? Okay, we lost Ian completely, so he'll come back in. We're almost at the end of our presentation anyway, but isn't that an impressive product? It's a great product. As you can see, I am using mine. Let me kind of get the cord here, right there. And I absolutely love it. And the beautiful thing is that if you have a Wacom tablet and you can still use your pen that came with the Wacom tablet with your SenseLab. It works perfectly well. All right, so Ian is messaging me. The power has just went out on me. I'm going to just message him back here saying, no worries. I got your back. So what do you think, guys? You think you might be purchasing a tablet? I'm setting up an affiliate account. Oh, the house went dark. Wow, he's lost all the power in this house there. So they're in England, or in the UK. He's somewhere in the UK. They're having that heat wave that's going on over there, if I remember correctly. And I know they're not used to it. Do you have use of the sleeve? Okay, that's a great question. I thought that was a great addition to the additional pins and the quick keys. Having that that sleeve. And I'm looking to see, where is mine? I have a tendency to put mine somewhere on the desk here, and I mean, I used to use this. Here, I'll show you guys. See this little white glove here? Let's see. I used to use these little white glove, and I would take these fingers here with scissors and cut them out so that my first 3 fingers are bare, and then the bottom will be with the glove. And I can use that to kind of move around on the tablet. It depends on you personally. Some people get really sweaty hands and stuff. There's a problem having sweaty hands on the board, so they wear the sleeves. I find the sleeves very handy. I don't use them all the time, but I know when I was doing presentations at Disney and Marvel Comics and all those places for Wacom, they were all using sleeves, right? They found it very useful. So Diane Arnold says Ian is in Belfast. Okay, got it. So Ian, excuse me. Ian has apologized. He's apologizing to everybody, and he will definitely be back. He says his entire street is completely off with power. So he's probably texting us through his cell phone. Actually, he's texting me through Facebook on his cell phone. No worries. Okay, so I tell you what, we're kind of at the end of our broadcast. This is what we're going to do. I promise that we will do a giveaway today. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give away a 1-year subscription to the Creative Cloud. That's everything Adobe owns. 1-year subscription to the Creative Cloud. So what I'm going to do is I have a notepad here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen while I'm thinking about it. Boom, there we go. Okay, so I have a notepad here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to type a number into this notepad. And whoever gets close to the number is going to win a 1-year subscription to the Creative Cloud. And the number is going to be anywhere from 1 to 100. Okay, it's going to be anywhere from 1 to 100. All right, so what I like everybody to do is to type in their number into the chat box. From 1 to 100. Whoever gets closest to my number is going to win a 1-year subscription to the Creative Cloud. Mr. Phil says, oh boy. Okay, the closest to my number. All right, I know I've got about almost 20 people in here in the room. I should have like almost 20 answers here. Where is everybody? Are people there not listening or something? Are they going to miss out? From 1 to 100, whoever gets the closest to my number, from 1 to 100, wins 1-year subscription to the Creative Cloud. Maybe they stepped away. Well, that's too bad, huh? That's too bad. All right, I'm going to give you another 20 seconds. This meeting has been recorded. And if you are a member of the Photoshop users group, you will be notified of the meeting. Also, I'll also post it on the Facebook page. So let me give you the Photoshop users group Facebook page address. I'm going to drop that into the chat box now. So if you are not a member of our Facebook page, also go there. To join and become a member of the Photoshop user group, I'm going to give you the fastest way to do that right now.